Hey, Brian. Just what do you take away from the loss here? And is there any one glaring thing you take away? Or just...
There was not just one thing, Maz. There was a ton. You know, we had talked internally about this being a trap game, and you go into this game against an opponent that is right behind you in the standings. They were up for the game, and the emotional high of what we accomplished in Austin, it was, you know, hard for the team, it seemed like, to get emotionally ready for this game. And it's almost like when we beat Minnesota last year in the semifinal, did that kind of trickle into our you know, our performance in the Cup final, which is even worse because that was actually MLS Cup final. But that's human nature. And we talked about it as a group. We talked about it as a collective, not just amongst the coaches, but with the players as well. And it's just hard sometimes to get, you know, back up on the horse and provide a, you know, another inspired performance. I thought we were lacking that little bit of inspiration, that we're at home and we're going to come out and on the front foot and we're going to do what we do. We just didn't have that. Plus, there were some performances that weren't up to their standards by senior players, by some younger players. It just wasn't up to the standard. So, as always, we will look at the film, Maz. I will, as a coach, make sure that I reflect on the, you know, the preparation for this game, the tactics, and we'll try and push past this because we really don't want to dwell on this for very much longer.
Steven, go ahead.
What was your message at the break, trailing by multiple goals for the first time this season?
That we are a team that's built, the success of our franchise has always been built on not giving things away. And we gave a couple goals away. It's not characteristic, but here are the changes that we're going to make. And we tried to make some changes, a little bit of tactical adjustments, flipping Freddie and Reed, you know, trying to push Kellen and Madranda higher up the field, our pressure higher up the field. And, you know, it worked for whatever. I don't know when Freddie scored. It worked for that little spell. But then, you know, we seemed to fall flat again. The same thing. We're chasing the game too much. They had good possession. Third goal obviously killed us. I mean, that sunk us.
John, go ahead.
Do you feel like Sporting Kansas City did anything different than other teams have so far this season,
No.
or did they just come with the right game plan tonight?
No, I think the game plan, that the result of this outcome falls on my shoulders, the coaching staff's shoulders, and then after that, the players. We did not perform up to the standard of this club.
Go Alonzo and then Jeremiah.
How are you, Coach? I know it's a tough
Good.
loss. Coach, it's the first time that you face Sporting Kansas City in
Yeah.
2021 since 2019, and you both, you lost on both occasions. What is so difficult, do you think, to beat them?
I don't know because I don't remember the 2019 score, but thank you for bringing up another loss against Sporting KC. Look, they're a good team. They're a quality team. I mean, Peter's been around a long time. You know, I think Kerry did a good job. Whatever he did tonight, whatever he said to his team was good. Look, they're right behind us for a reason. They're a quality team. And, you know, I don't know if it's any one thing. It's not just Sporting Kansas City. You know, I don't agree with that. It's just a performance that we weren't up to our standard.
J.O.
Yeah, Brian, Shane kind of talked about this a little bit about how maybe this is a chance to reset and to kind of look forward. How has the last few weeks been, and you guys been kind of riding on an edge, and I mean, can a game like this be cathartic, or are you not allowed to be that way?
Well, you could look at it that way, Jeremiah. It's an interesting question. I'll think about it. Because the messaging to the group was we want to push past it. They had a tough week. They had a long week, starting with, you know, a little bit of an emotional loss against Minnesota. Look, we didn't play our best there, but we got through to the 81st minute, and we were just right on the cusp of maybe grabbing a point there and keeping the streak alive, and the subtle pressure that comes with that streak. Then you go into the emotional high of Austin, and then you fall flat here. It could be a reset point, Jeremiah. I mean, we've got a couple days until San Jose, but that's going to be that's going to be a tough opponent. It's not easy. And then we have that one more killer week coming up when we have Portland, Dallas, and Columbus. So maybe a little reset now prepares us for another tough stretch before we, get into September and October when our schedule is a little bit more, favorable.
I know there's a couple follow-ups in the room. We're gonna go over to some Zoom questions. We'll come back to you guys in here. Matt, you can hear me? Go ahead with the Zoom questions, please.
I can hear you just fine. We'll go first to Felipe Makeda.
Coach, from where we were at the booth, I looked at your seat and you had a jersey with the number 6, I think somehow has to do with Jimmy Gabriel. Can you give us a little bit of your insight on that?
Dane Beaumont, who has been with the club since 2002, when I first started, was a big fan of the Sounders back in the day, and that was an actual jersey worn by Jimmy Gabriel. That was the one that Danny Jackson had when he did the ceremonial scarves up before the kickoff. And so, as a little reminder, I wanted to put it on the chair, but unfortunately, Jimmy, I'm sorry. Didn't work tonight. I'll do better next time.
Nico Moreno, go ahead.
Hey, Brian. My question was, I guess, slightly similar to what Jeremiah had already asked. But do you assess kind of the needs of the players on how to take on this week, of perhaps just giving him like a couple of extra days of rest, or just getting back to the video set? Is that something that you look at what the players might need in particularly? How do you work that out?
Yeah, we're gonna give them 2 days off, just because they need a mental break, and then we'll gear back up again and prepare for San Jose. I mean, the guys are mentally tired. You could see that on the game tonight. So we need to give them a little bit of a break. But again, to your point, to Jeremiah's point, I mean, is it a complete reset? Is it just a little bit of a reset? Do we just need to refocus? Do we just write it off as, okay, it was a bad performance, a bad game, a bad day, nobody's perfect? It's probably a combination of all those things. Nico?
John Lupo.
Coach, I want to speak about Danny for a minute. He had a couple of strong games before tonight, but it seemed like he had a tough time out there. Was it something that they were doing? Is it maybe things he wasn't doing? Well, what did you make of what happened with Danny tonight?
Well, I just think he had a lot of miles on him, and it's hard for a kid to play, that heavy minutes. And, I could say the same of some other senior players on the team, that they looked a little sluggish and a little tired today as well. So I think overall that's part of the reason why I'm going to give them 2 days off to mentally recover. And then we'll do the physical preparation, and again, just try and move forward. But, I don't think anybody had a particularly good game tonight.
Okay, guys, we'll come back to the room and do a few more before we finish up. Jeremiah, I saw you. You're the only first-time asker, I think, so go for it. Oh, no, sorry. You had your clip. Apologies. Go ahead.
Brian, I mean, we're sitting here listening to Kansas City apparently very happy with this win. Is that what do you take away from that? Is that something you maybe would prefer your players to be?
Well, I'm sure they can hear it because they're pretty loud. But Jeremiah, look, we sing Jingle Bells all the time. And I'm sure that the opposing teams have heard Jingle Bells, and maybe that's a little payback. Who knows? I'll certainly use it as motivation. But, you got to give some credit to Sporting KC. They deserve the win.
Alonzo.
Coach, this team is known for resilience, and I want to ask you, what were so many changes in the defensive side tonight?
How so?
It was Sissoko the first one, then Shane, then you brought back
Josh.
Ezio,
Yeah.
and then you were playing like a 4.
Yeah, there was some certain, look, AB's injury certainly was one that kind of threw us off a little bit, to your point. We had confidence in Josh moving back there. He played well in Austin. There was a conversation about, is Josh better as a center back or as a number 6? We brought Reed onto the field instead. I could have brought Shane in right away and kept Josh where he was, so I'll reflect on that to make sure that was the right coaching. But again, there were some changes, but that team has been together. That group of players has been together. Javi, Yaimar, Shane, Brad, Madranda, they've been working together all year. Maybe Kellen is the only one that really hasn't seen a lot of right back. The rest of them all know their roles and responsibilities.
Take a couple more. John, you've been waiting for a while. Go for it.
Coach, we know that there's tons of injuries on this roster right now. Do you have any timetable as to when some of these guys are going to be able to start throwing back the team again, or is it still pretty up in the air?
It's still pretty much up in the air. I don't have any new good information to give the group.
Ross?
Yeah, more of a tactical, I don't know an answer to this, but it seems that when teams are having so much possession, how critical is it that your press is effective?
Well, I would say the opposite. I think we pressed okay. The challenge comes, Maz, is when you press and you win possession of the ball, you need to connect your passes, the first 1, 2, 3, to actually rest with the ball instead of chase. And then the first guy that gets the ball at his feet, he's stuck, he's under pressure, he's tired, he gives the ball away. That pattern is a brutal pattern to try and get your team out of. Tonight, I don't think in the first half we connected hardly anything. I know the possession stats might say something different, but in those moments, in those critical moments after we defended for a block of time and we finally won possession of the ball, we got stuck again. And we gave the ball away through, too many touches, a bad pass, not being in the right spots. Again, it just wasn't our team.
Steven, why don't you close us out?
It's often said that teams learn more from losses than from wins. Do you think that's particularly true for your younger players right now?
Well, there was one play where Johnny Russell did a little give and go behind Reed. Certainly more minutes for Ethan is a good thing, so he can get a feel and taste for what it's like in a high-pressure game. I think Danny and Josh have had enough minutes. I think they get it, but they're always learning because they're very open-minded kids. They want to learn. They want to soak it in. What I liked was Danny never shied away. Maybe he didn't have his best game, but he never shied away from going into the position that he needed to be in, which I appreciated. And Josh, you could kind of see towards the end of the game, he was getting a little chippy because he was pissed that he was losing. And I really liked that he showed some emotion and said, hey, blank you, I'm tired of this and I'm going to try and make a difference. So for all of the young players, games like this certainly are a learning curve. And, again, they have bright futures. And, we'll just try and push past this game.
Take one more from Shannon.
Make it a good one.
It's more of a technical question. What with AB when he came out, was that an injury or was that a coach's decision?
No, he's had tendonitis. We thought we could get the kid through the game because he's played heavy minutes, but it just caught up to him, and it was tendonitis. Nothing major, not a major injury.